Stream, my name is Lee. Hi and welcome. We are doing thing. No, we're not. Uh, yeah, my name is Lee. This is a lot earlier than I usually stream. In fact, if you're living on the East Coast, like I am, you might notice that it is barely afternoon. Well, okay, it is later in the afternoon than I wanted it to be. I was gonna start at like 12:30, and it's not quite one yet. So, um, the why is my we're gonna leave that for now. Point being, yes, I have the flag is. Oh. All right, we'll fix the flag in a bit. Anyway, my point being, I am the. Uh, I used to start this off with I am not a woman, but now I think maybe I'm not a man is a better uh, non sequitur intro. Any case, yeah, Generido. I say this every time because back when I started, I used to get mistaken for a straight woman, and I was just like, listen, I say my pronouns at the beginning of everyone. Well, yeah, but like, so, because some people just go straight over their head that if you say your own pronouns and they're not just she, her, then you are pretty much not a woman, really. I mean, granted, there are lesbians who sometimes go by him, so I'm not gonna say it's never, but like, but that is a very good indication that you're queer, some class of queer. Like, I don't think there's any straight cis woman who ever just would go out of her way to, you know, say her pronouns and say anything other than just she, her. Um, I'm sure there are like some somewhere, but I've yet to meet them. And we shall see. But my point is, yeah, it's just like, oh no, you're just woman. Like that's not a thing. I'm like, I, come on, give me some credit here. So I just started on ambiguity, stating I'm not a woman, and then I actually got on the T, and then anyway, that's a long story. But welcome on into the stream. I don't talk about gender necessarily a lot. I talk mostly about TTRPGs and other fun stuff. And the afternoon tea streams are kind of whatever we feel like doing. And the problem, let's see, how far do we have? How long do we have? 2 minutes 43 seconds. Okay, so when since I have an affiliate channel and have a monetized channel, they start an ad like 5 minutes after the stream starts. They run an ad, so I try to get to the figure out what I'm doing with the stream before the ad starts. Which you might think, why would you start a stream when you don't know what you're doing? Well, because otherwise I wouldn't start. Um, I'm starting very early today. Those of you who viewed the stream before would know that I'm starting way earlier than usual. Um, yes. Uh, yes. So telling other community members on my own Discord, which you can join if you want to be part of this whole not mess with me. Um, um, yes. I'm gonna have to do coolant for the computer too. Okay, so we have 1 minute 23 seconds. I gotta figure out what we're doing. Something fun. Let's go to my. Um, let's see, 40K. Um, okay, let me see what we got. Let's do this so I can see my. I have my Broncholonia folder. We could look at that. We got actually, I still have to move stuff around. Why don't we do? Yeah, I said Broncolini. Let's. Um, actually, I haven't looked at that yet. Let's see. All right. We're gonna have an ad. I'm gonna start Broncolini. Now, do you guys know what Broncolini is? If not, you're gonna. We're gonna go, and I'm going to. Furious Lands and Other Dirty Jobs. I have yet to dig into this one as fully, so let's do that. Let's poke around at this one a little. Um, and we'll see what we got. I might have. I'm not sure. Things tend to blend a little bit. Let's see what this one is. We'll dig into it. Um, because it's fun. Bruncolonia, I use it for several charity streams, which charity streams are all viewable on my YouTube. And a lot of them use Bruncolonia as the go-to. That's Discord. And then let me get up and so usually when I do because I have ad breaks, I'm gonna get up, stretch. I need water. I need liquid. You should get liquid too. Meet you back here in a minute. Water for me. Water. Water. All right. Shoot, hang. All right, I'm back. I am actually back this time. I realized I forgot to do the one thing I meant to do, which is uh, find some. But that's fine. Come here. Not that one. So we're doing this. Beautiful. Okay, that should help with keeping the computer from overheating. And then we do this. Hello, I'm back. And we're digging into Broncolonia. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and Wednesday will be Greyhawk, and Greyhawk will be. It still doesn't. Why is the green still not showing? I feel like if I can legit. No, that's the wrong way. There we go. And I sit this way. Yep. Okay. Well now I'm. Okay. That's a little better. I have the flag and I have me in frame, so we're just gonna go with this. Boop. Okay, so. Oh, point is high. And if the mic is working, sometimes I forget to check, and I don't have anyone in chat yet, but we might at some point. So we'll see how it goes with the earlier streaming earlier in the day. Boop. All right, so. All right, so let's look at this. Let's see, Broncolonia. Let's see, Furious lands on other dirty jobs. This volume has been ruined by Corso de Vinci, who, despite the punishments received for every other time he's done this, has stained, greased, and ripped everything but he possibly could. This time, the Vandal has been sent to the stocks and targeted with rotten fruits and vegetables for a total of 2 days. Librarian, with the signature. Royal Bounty Library, 1024 after the fall. Fiercelands and Other Dirty Jobs is an anthology of campaigns and adventures for the Brancolonia Spaghetti Fantasy RPG setting for 5e of the world's greatest role-playing game. I feel like they should have been for the Brancolonia. It's just they didn't translate that bit. I don't know. Translation credits. Let's see. Italian editing and proofreading rules. English translation Alex Valente and Fiorenzo Deli Rupi. Interesting. English editing is John Marin. Interesting. Alright, so I guess you didn't catch that bit. But I also got an early I got it early as part of a Kickstarter. I think I got this as part of a Kickstarter. So I think this one is Midwinter's Evening Dream, the final. Oh yes. Honor Among Knaves. Brief overview of the campaign. Let's go there because I think we did the Midwinter's Night Dream, which is the. I think we went through some of that. Hobwell. Ooh. A little bit, I guess. The Fairy Godfather. That's art is in the turquoise section of the an appendix. Flock of stuffed birds. I haven't actually looked at this one. Let's see. A vast cloud of taxidermy partridges, uh, gryfalcons, goshawks, and hazel grouses who act as me as one fueled by a single will and task. A flock of stuffed birds. So they're reanimated corpses, but they've been taxidermied specifically. Mm-hmm. See. So they say construct, not undead, which is interesting, even though they are technically corpses. They are vulnerable to fire. Interesting. Makes sense, though. And resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. Not even bludgeoning and piercing and slashing from non-magical weapons, just bludgeoning, piercing, and slashes across the board. They are immune to poison, which makes sense. They cannot be charmed, exhausted, frightened, grappled, paralyzed. Oh, they can't be grappled. Dang. Well, I guess the grappled is more the swarm thing. Because the thing, it constructs charmed, exhaustion, frightened makes sense. Grappled doesn't for a construct, but does for a swarm, so a swarm of constructs would have both. Petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained. Yeah, prone is definitely also a swarm thing. Restrained, stunned, and unconscious. Okay, they are immune. They're immune to stun. That's a big one. Well, I guess swarms in general are immune to stun. So they're challenge 1. Proficiency bonus +2. Alright, so swarm can occupy another creature's space and vice versa, and the swarm can move through any opening large enough for a tiny hawk. I mean, that makes sense. Swarm can't regain hit points or gain temporary hit points. They cannot be healed. I wonder, is that a swarm thing, or because I feel like, yeah, I don't know if you can heal swarms. Definitely can't. Healing constructs is iffy. Depends on the construct, and because sometimes you use mending instead of healing spells and stuff. Okay. Okay, so they have a melee attack is +5 to hit, and they have to be in the same square, so reach of 0. Hit is 44 piercing damage, or 5 1d4 piercing damage if the swarm is half its hit points or fewer. So it's either 44 or 1d4. I I might, as a DM, kind of fudge that and then stretch it a little bit. So when it got to like 3/4 health, it would be down to 3, and then at half down to 2, and then when it got to down well below half, it would be 1. That's just me, but this is a good way to do it. So there's Telamon. Magically animated statues. This is a theme here. Vain, passionate, or haughty who don't always follow their creator's orders. Ooh, interesting. Inspired by male gods and heroes, and spot powerful musculature and sizable attributes, and love to hide among regular statues in villas and temples to show off their bodies and revel in the wonder and admiration of visitors and passersby. So you got, I guess, in the sense of Michelangelo's David, who is just this gorgeous human form, the masculine. There are others of that ilk and in various eras, but that's one stands out to me as like that masculine musculature of the study of the male form in such way. Yeah, sorry, I'm just checking chat because I want to make sure. Um, uh, um, all right. I gotta figure that one out. Okay. Bloop. Okay, so stream. Yeah, we don't have any viewers. We do often not have viewers, I will say. The entire stream is up on YouTube, and we still have very few viewers. But you could change that. If you are watching this later as VOD or as a viewer now, you could go to YouTube. I will put the link to YouTube, actually. This one I usually type manually. And you can go and watch my stuff on YouTube later. Most of it makes it up, but over 3/4 of it gets up onto the YouTube channel eventually, and all of the one shots, all of the stuff that I have, where I have friends on to play and we do live plays, those all make it up. It's these kind of casual everyday streams that sometimes don't get lost in the shuffle. Yeah. Bloop. Okay. Boom. Alright, we're going now. Let's see. Telamon. Honor among knaves. So this is, okay, so that's those guys. I didn't look, but this is the new one I was going to talk about. Level 1, let's see. Born by combining various adventures created for Blancolonia, organized play. The meat of the adventures comes from the many feuds of Blancolonia, whereas the finale that gives the name of the whole campaign is a multi-table game played during Bodena Play 2023 by around 120 knaves and 30 condottieri, so 30 DMs and 120 players. That's 4 pop, yeah, that makes sense. Organizers and actors. Ooh. Given the multi-band structure of the original material, all episodes have been adapted to be played at a single table while still keeping the possibility of having them take place in any setting throughout the kingdom. The many feuds live. The many feuds live. That has both a period and an exclamation point there. Okay. Trouble is a brewing in the Bounty Kingdom. The troops of the Emperor are descending from Altamania. That's just to the north and just north. It's heavily German coded. I'll just say that. And with them, war could break out at any moment. If you've also acquired the book The Empire Wax Back from the Brancolonia line, you can play both campaigns in parallel or shuffle them together like a poppycock deck, taking the best or worst of both worlds. After all, making do is the only way a knave knows how to do, well, anything. For this specific campaign frame, when the knaves are busying themselves in a tavern, the city they're in is the stage for one of the first great operations against scoundrels, ne'er-do-wells, and nuisances, aiming to remove all the peskier bands before the arrival of imperial envoys and delegations from neighboring aristocrats. Ah, yes, street sweeping, clean up the riffraff before big diplomatic event. Okay. Things, of course, are not quite that easy. The powers that be have hired Lucrezia of Almavia, infamous betrayer, ruthless assassin, feared even by other bounty hunters, to eradicate the 4 companies, considered invincible by many. Ooh, okay. Things, of course, are not... Okay, yes. After having infiltrated the leader and having converted several knaves to her cause, Lucrezia strikes during a meeting of bands specifically set up to face off against the tightening screws of all knave life. Alright, so there's a crackdown on this kind of gray market hired adventurer thing, and they're like, nope, and there's a crackdown, and they're trying to do something about that, and then she shows up, and the meeting location catches fire. The guards are ready to move in to arrest whoever survives Lucrezia, but a couple of bands are still able to make it out of the city and go on the run. The latter spend some time on the down low for a few weeks, until one of the dishonorable ministers, leaders of the Republic of Knaves, finds their new den and recruits them to save their companions currently imprisoned and imperiled. Ooh, okay. Like, knaves accept the job, but it turns out to be another trap set by Lucrezia to capture final fugitives. Despite this, the knaves are able to pull off a spectacular mass escape, which even spills out into the realms of extravaganza. So they get into the Feywild by mistake. They make it back to the city one last time. Yeah, this definitely is, I think, maybe either a pre-edited version or the editor. I don't want to speak badly of it because it's Brancolonia. The small press that does Brancolonia is really cool. And they do. I'm very much appreciate that they put their stuff in both Italian and English, so I can get copies, even though I don't speak Italian. Because they have other fun stuff too, like Hell of a Town. But yes, this is. Although I did get yeah, this one is a backer. Yes, it's my dead name on it. Yeah, it is a backer kit, one direct from Kickstarter, so they probably cleaned it up a little for later, which is fine, honestly. Uh, let's see. Okay, so they make it back to the city again. I find an entirely changed landscape. All bands are neutralized and cleared out. Lucrezia and her minions have left the region. There's only one way to find out where she's headed. Search through one of Scipio's dens, which she uses her own for some time, and find any scrap of a clue. They will find a useful lead and powerful enemy to defeat before the actual final encounter will lead them to the streets of Mutina, the Knave City where Scipio's legend began. The Republic of Knaves is a sort of shadow government. Oh, Republic of Knaves, what is it? That was helpful. Informal and disorganized, born after the fall of King of Thieves. The group regulates, or for lack of a better word, the ethical moral codes, which they call Constitution, shared by every knave, and which labels anyone who does not respect it as infamous. Its thanks to public, for example, the brawls have become a respected method of solving issues and conflicts. So, okay, so it's kind of like a guild, or, yeah, because illegal trades often have guilds long before legal ones do, just because they don't have government, the government, they need something to kind of, people need to enforce, at the very least, not ratting each other out. Otherwise, it does not work. Yeah, so it's sort of an informal, I'll explain. I mean, how would I phrase it? Yeah, it makes sense what they said. Yeah, it makes sense that they have a sort of, kind of collective, uh, setup. Um, all right, and then the four great companies to form the Republic were born of the four, from the King of Thieves Scipio's retinue. They're powerful and influential enough that they are considered untouchable. Their leaders are called ministers, dishonorable or dishonorable ministers, depending on who's talking about them. All right. Katerina Sefirza, Fellowship of the Arsenic. Beautiful, dangerous, and capable and cunning, Katerina Sferza has been condottiera, a field commander, and a constable of 7 mercenary armies in the kingdom. People claim that she's also skilled with engineering, artificery, alchemy, which has used exclusively for military purposes. She allegedly has 3 husbands. All generals has 3. Okay, all generals are condottieros. Okay, so she's in some sort of polyamorous, whether consensual or not, who knows. A lethal assassin, skilled at 2-weapon fighting. She uses a whip called Grudge, and a dagger she can throw. She's a strategic duelist who will use the whip to parry, disarm, or block her opponent so she can sneak in a shank. Her crossbow, which she calls Slander, is a light weapon, but her darts are imbued with sibilant, a poison of her own devising, made by mixing basilisk blood, snake venom, cloves, and a number of secret ingredients which she can stun and even make a victim unconscious. The name comes from the last sound heard by the target before falling unconscious. I am still recovering from some sort of respiratory ick. So, forgive me for coughing an awful lot. Probably should be resting my voice, but I also need to get, if I'm going to start going into work early frequently, which I might be, I might just go in, be there every day early, which means I gotta, I gotta be on top of it. Yay me. Okay. But that means I'm going to have to figure out a streaming schedule that fits with that, which means we're going to have to start doing streaming earlier. So today I was like, all right, well, I'm going to have to start this. But also, it's fun to just go into Broncolonia and, like, hang out and talk, like, read through Broncolonia, because it's interesting, and I like hanging out on stream and stuff. And other people can join me, fine. If not, then I'm just hanging out reading Broncolonia. It's fun anyway. But I do enjoy streaming, and all of the cool people who show up and chat. So yeah, that is fun. Boom. Fashion. Oh yeah, I need to. There are people. I need to talk to so many people. And then there's Rubatino da Quinotaria. Oh, right. Sarimo de Baudi. The unmelodic orchestra. Like the stationary marching band. The unmelodic orchestra. Seramo de Baudi is a metacore bard with excellent drinking skills. Many claim that the more he drinks, the better he sounds. Anyone in his company needs to prove they can play at least a whistle. Seramo presents himself as a cantor, elegantly dressed with a foppish air, but only in the colors black, white, grey, and some green. He wears a hood from his cape, with a V-cut part over his face. He also wears a large brim hat on his belt, with long peacock and peasant feathers, so when he places it on his head during shows or fights, so anytime he takes the stage. So he has a fancy hat that he usually only carries on his belt, unless he's on the stage. Okay. Cool. Oh, during shows or fights, anytime he takes the stage. So he considers fighting to be... That's interesting. Okay. And then there's Rubatino de Quinotaria. Quinotaria is one of the regions of Broncolonia. It's a... Quinotaria is... Actually, give me 30 seconds. I will bring up a map. I'm gonna bring up a map. Oh, this one is the same way. Kinataria, 87, so it's probably somewhere around here, right? Let's do this. Kingdom. Kinataria is... That's the Mist Tide in Penumbria. Kinataria is... It's in the north. It's like... Oh, Vortagia. Right. Those are the city names. The ones listed on the map are city names. Kinataria is one, so it's right up. Can you see this map? No. Sorry. Here. That's, Kinataria is Lungvaria, which is a big, hospitality town, I remember. We were reading through it. But yes, that is... let's see if we can zoom in a little more. Yeah, so this is Kinataria, right here. This one here. Here-ish. So, when they say, that should show up on the thingy. Yes. Kinataria, on the map. Let's take it off. So, when they go, here we go. To Kinataria, that's where they mean he's from this northern place. The Fracas logs is a puppet, though a peculiar one. No legs, only an empty dress with a head and arms poking out of it. Interesting. Puppets are, they're made of turquoise wood, so they're technically sentient, and they are created by master woodworkers, who then, it's basically like Pinocchio, where but it's from magical wood, so they are people, technically. They're just made of wood, so they're not living exactly. But they're fully sentient people in terms of all the mental, stuff. They don't have any... The creators have no more control over it than a parent does of their child, which is soft power. But yeah, and they can... And they are vulnerable to fire, I believe. But it is a playable character class. And I believe Puppeteer is the new... is a class created for Roncoloni where you can play as a carver who does turquoise wood. But if you creating a whole proper full puppet is a big undertaking, and it's a whole thing. Anyway, but yes, he is a puppet, though a peculiar one. No legs, only an empty dress with a head and arms poking out of it. This has never stopped him. In fact, his cunning and wits have allowed him to rise to the ranks of the Republic and been one of the most wanted in the kingdom. His nature's allowed him to go mostly incognito, too, as he requires carriers and attendants, which he pretends are himself, while he acts as a simple puppet. Ooh, interesting. 5 knaves have met their end this way, believed to be the worst loan shark in Kinataria, and other 9 are swimming with city fishes. And another 9 have swimming with city fish. So 5 died and another 9 are... He constantly accompanied by Pompous, his non-existent bodyguard. Non-existent is another from the second book, of the second Macronomicon. The non-existents are sort of... They fill out clothing. They're kind of ghost creatures that fill out clothing or armor, and so they don't exist technically, but they're like possessing clothes, and they don't quite exist exactly. They're very silly because Bergoglio has that kind of tone. But he has Pompous, who's a non-existent bodyguard. And then you got Sister Ribsplitta. The Order of the Broken Schnoz. Sister Ribsplitta is middle-aged Sylvan who was abandoned young in a forest and raised by a pack of badgers. She was then found by a friar of an isolated monastery and was taught the ways of the Calloused Hand, which is I believe, one of the Brawley orders. It is a subclass unique to Barcolonia of basically, like, they took monk, the Tinakhas monk, and were like, wait a second, we have monks who are Catholic in the, not the Catholic, like the Eternal Father is not the Christian God exactly, but, but they do have a lot of similarities, and in the order, the way it's organized, so the Brawley orders are itinerant friars of them, but also, they learn, fighting, like, basically pugilist style to defend, as self-defense, and they act as, part vigilantes, part traveling priest. It's actually kind of interesting. So she was apparently taught by one of them. She started roaming villages to help people with their daily tasks. Her incredible strength led her once to save a young man from a fierce basilisk by killing the creature but losing her right hand and forearm in the process, turning them to stone. Her deeds and love for people are sung throughout the kingdom, and many villages have been blessed by her presence, be it her kindness or stony fist. The latter happens a little more often than she'd like to admit. Okay, so she's lovable rogue, kind of. Okay. Lucrezia and Scipo's treasure. Lucrezia of Almaviva is an old acquaintance. You might remember her from the Jinx's Almanac, another supplement book I don't have. She is loathed and feared by knaves and bounty hunters alike, and has become so ambitious in recent years as to attempt to take down the entire Republic of Knaves and retrieve Scipo's treasure, a man who started the Golden Age of Knaves. Okay, so he is that. Okay, do I have Jinx's? It is not in here if I do have it. Beast I have also probably isn't the original. There's probably more to it in the full. It was a bonus on one of the Kickstarter campaigns. I haven't backed all of them, but I do back their Kickstarter campaigns fairly often, so I get like premium, early access drafts, and I feel like that was one of those. And then I feel like if I actually got the Bestiary, I'd get something different, but I don't know for sure. It is actually a fun supplement, and I've used monsters from it on various things. So let's see. Her plan requires a lot of funds, and has agreed to destroy or see imprisoned all the knaves from several cities across the kingdom, taking their bounties through local powers. Her cunning and ruthlessness, however, wouldn't have been enough to see her plan to fruition. In order to infiltrate several companies in several cities at the same time, Lucrezia got her hands on Scipo's helm, promptly through someone inside the Republic itself, a traitor among the dishonorable, and she used the artifact to further her plans. Okay, I gotta keep an eye on the time because I do have to leave. I have a bus at 2 o'clock. I have to be on that bus, and it's already there. Okay. Well, we'll finish reading about this guy at least, because this is fascinating. I want to go back. There are so many things in that I read, I'm like, we should go back, and they never do. So, back to this though. If I ever do, and you see an episode of that, and you're like, "Wait, why did you go back to this?" You can ask, and I can. If you go on the Discord, you can ask, and I say, no, but I should, and then I will at some point, and then maybe for the next Tuesday or Thursday. Tuesdays and Thursdays I usually do random bits and bobs. I used to do Warhammer on Tuesdays and Thursdays, less so now, although I do occasional Warhammer 40k world building streams. And world building is inventing planets to fit in the Warhammer 40k verse, and then tailoring them to fit within the framework, which is fun. But yeah. She's also struck a deal with the Belphegor, who has granted a few Maladokas to help, who can also transport her across locations of the kingdom through Befana chimneys, magic structures that allow for immediate transport to remote locations. In cities where her plan is active, Lucrezia has taken over Scipio's old dens, following the indications on in the helm. Once Lucrezia has completed her mission, she will gather weapons, luggage, and minions, and head to Amutina, a legendary knave city where the treasure is hidden, and leave Zolfrano the Maladoka behind to deal with loose ends. If I recall correctly, Belphegors are kind of demon entities who do make deals and such, usually in the type of attractive females who feed on men, if I recall correctly. We should look that up. Oh, let's do that. And reach... If the man can survive the counter with Zolfrano and reach Amutina's canals, the final hunt for Scipo's treasure will begin, and the fate of every knave in the kingdom will be decided once and for all. Oh, the legend of Scipo, King of Thieves. This is important. Many years ago... Oh, here we go. There are 2 more paragraphs. Let's do it. Many years ago, so many knaves from back then would rather not think about it too much. A turncoat scoundrel, cowardly and pretty useless, stumbled across the find of a life, a pagan artifact of power, fortune, riches, the Horn of Fortune. Fueled by the find, he tried to make a name for himself to establish his legacy for centuries. He reached the native city of Mutina, where pirates, scoundrels, and cutthroats abound, gathered them all under his banner as King of Thieves. The riches provided by the horn, however, are not created from nothing, but rather stolen from those closest to the owner of the item. As King of Thieves grew richer, those close to him, his allies, his loyal followers, kept encountering the worst luck of their lives. The horn was stealing their fortune and, well, their, fortune. So it basically made them unlucky to make him rich. No matter how many successful jobs they completed, they would always end up skint and brawling for no glory at the end of them. There was no proof he was behind it, and Mutina grew suspicious, and the king's tenants attempted to keep up the city's good name with mutiny, but he felt the wind changed and fled swiftly into the night mists. He left the horn as a secret place in Mutina, which still creating riches and fortune by stealing it from the knaves that once served it. And so the legend of Skipo and his treasure was born, and has a time come for the knaves to reclaim what's theirs. After 3 centuries of accumulation, the treasure is starting to spill out into the canals of it. And Mutina raising suspicions and starting a frantic treasure hunt. That's for the Condottiero. This campaign is organized around key episodes, crucial to the plot, and side episodes which don't need to have too much bearing on it. The latter can be useful for the knaves to gather more resources items, but can also expand playing time. More can be added, which is not it can be a good or bad thing depending on circumstances. Many can be added from more can be added from Brancalonia books or made up by the Condottiero, as always. All core episodes follow the main thread, but the details of places and locations in the kingdom can be modified according to the group's needs, except for the finale, which takes place in Mutina. Obviously. Reminder, names and locations with an asterisk are modifiable and adapted to table stories. Our recommendation is to take inspiration from local anecdotes, urban legends, and places known by the players, adages, and local stereotypes or idioms. Okay. Cool. I guess if you're playing with people who come from that part of the world, they'll probably have their own local legends and or local legends of where your particular party played before, or other such things. I bet you could work in your own urban legends from other places outside Italy and play with that a little bit too. Anyway, there's that. Okay, so Belphegor, right? That's what it was. Belphegor. We're gonna open this up. Let's see. It was in the Spaghetti Fantasy Bestiary, which is not quite a bestiary exactly. It's more, um, um, uh, okay. Um, Jinx, I do want to get a copy of Jinx at some point. Yeah, it's definitely not the finished one. It's a early draft, which, um, yes, this is if you steal parts from monsters, you can build. Ooh, lair loot. That's pretty cool. Um, yes. Overgord. Let me get the Overgord. That whole. I used some of these guys, beanies, as their, that was something they fought in the most recent charity fundraiser game, Earthlings. Pumpkin Cultist, alright. And then you have the Abandoned Farmstead. And then the Overgord Loaf, which is the, thing. If you sub out, um, if unavailable pumpkins, you can make this is an actual recipe you can use to make pumpkin loaf stuff. Uh, but cake dough. People think the Overguard's head. Is cake dough or cake batter? Hang on, because it's translated from Italian. There's certain things which, um, um, boil potatoes and clean them and dice along with the pulp. Oh, the pulp. Okay, so you need the pulp. So boil in potatoes and mix them with the pulp. Heat some oil in a skillet and frying pan and hot. Add potatoes, overgourd, sliced leek, cute crumbled sausage. Stir well and cook until golden, then let rest in a separate container. Add the ricotta, 2 pinches of salt, dried cheese, a pinch of ground nutmeg and pepper. Mix well, make sure it's not too hot to cook the egg. Add one or two depending on their choice of consistency. Okay, so add the eggs after it's cooled down so they don't cook. Spread the cake dough. Spread the cake dough. Pour over the mixture, covering all the dough and spread it evenly. Dust with breadcrumbs, some oil, and pinch of salt. Bake half an hour until golden. Eating overboard can make one see in the dark, but also induce the need to count the inane. Avoid score means or pooms of rice. Okay, so the effect. So you have dark vision, and if you eat it within 3 days, means the property. When you see a pot of rice, you must succeed on DC 10 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, you must use your move to move close to the item along the shortest and safer route, and you must use your action to count each part that forms the items. The grains, stalks. Oh, so you have that counting curse thing that they have in vampires and folklore, which is why you use things like salt and rice to distract them because they have to count the grains. Okay, Belphegor. Sorry. That is cake dough. I am curious about this because freaking I might actually have to ask because cake dough. So spread it in the pan and put this over. You could use a lot of different things. So cake dough. Okay, so generally when you make cakes, what you have is batter because you can pour it, but you can pour it and spread, or you have like a dough for like a bread. I've never heard of cake dough, and I don't know if it's a translational thing or just something I've never heard of, and I really want to figure that out. But Belphegor, right? We're gonna talk about Belphegors, and okay, so high-ranking demons only just barely not part of the infernal hierarchy, formed by the infernal stakeholders meeting in board of devil rectors. If hell were a multinational corporation, Belphegors would be what we call managing executives. This goes to explain their relative freedom to move between planes, unlike other demonic beings. Their job description is technically infernal finance, and more specifically, soul acquisition and dark conspiracies. For both personal wealth, Belphegors appreciate the finer, more carnal details of the world, and power or status affirmation within the infernal hierarchies. The shiny sulfuric world of Belphegor includes expanding the legions serving the stakeholders on the board, the constant growth of infernal revenue, published monthly at the Lucifage stock market, and the submission and corruption of mortal souls. Belphegors are particularly fond of this latter duty, travel the world in the skies, offering the most simple of all devil's bargains, wealth and pleasure, blessings during life in exchange for teensy payment, one soul. The spheric scoundrels, also known as Tarnations, Gurglers, Nihils, or the Great Nene, can even infiltrate the highest rank of human society alongside Duke Counts, princes, warlords, and band leaders. They corrupt society from within, forming Machiavellian plans, accruing power, and reveling in the suffering torment they cause. That explains. My one was willing to cut a deal with what's her face? The most famous exorcist monk, Father Gabriello Orto, once said, "The Belphegors vapors snake into the most unthinkable rooms. They appear in our world with human features, any gender, often glowing with unsettling beauty, wear fine clothes, boasting visible wealth. They love to show off their charms, but if needed or attacked, they will retreat to their true forms, which are unbearable to common mortals." Yes, this is a Belphegor. Very sexy. Um, uh, what? Is that two? Does she have 4 arms? Huh. That is unsettling, true form. Um, yeah, she's it's a stinger tail and extra limbs. Dang, okay. Um, yes. Folklore and origins. Belphegor Arcidavillo, Archdevil, or Il Diavolo Premogili, the devil finds a wife, which is apparently a short story from the 1500s. Okay. That's right around the Renaissance. Often mistakenly attributed to Niccolo Machiavelli. Machiavelli. That one, I know that name. Recent studies have in fact sourced the author as, yes, from Florence, but anonymous and not the famous political theorist. The tale itself is a satirical take on the appearance of the Archdevil Belphegor, sent by the hell to determine if life in the relationship, living in a relationship, is truly a living hell. The devil is forced to marry and dragged through a series of adventures and events that highlight the selfishness and greed of humans until he's finally able to return to his infernal home. Okay. And then they played with that. Alright. Large fiend, lawful evil. Um, so hang on. Um, Belphegor, who has granted a few Malacodas to help transport her across locations in the kingdom through Befana chimneys. Befanas are sort of witches or hags. Magic structure allows for immediate transport to remote locations. Uh, Zolfarano the Malacoda. Okay, so what are Malacoda would be in here then, because all of the sub monsters, grave peckers. Grave peckers are those. Malumbria are just some damned soul, some kind of malicious specter connected to infernal forces. Yes, if you sign an infernal contract, they Spirits of Dark Shadows, Sinister and Malevolent. Okay, Noggin are the heads. Okay. Giant Noggin, big boy. Okay. Venture hooks. It doesn't specify what Malacodas are in this thing. Um, Maybe in the Jinx's Almanac they have more on that. Malumbra. Okay, it's the Gravepeckers. Gravepeckers are workforce, their personal army. Their name comes from the first task they were ever used for: looting bodies for their belongings in cemeteries, lazarettos, and on battlefields. They still enjoy this type of task, though they only do it for pleasure or out of tradition rather than necessity these days. Desecrating corpses, sharp beaks, including stripping out their gold. Teeth are fun. And then sell what they find to smugglers or the numerous pawnbrokers throughout the kingdom. Pawnbreakers. Created by Belfage, sticking out the parts of corpses and armor or weapons looted from the dead. They're little more than patchwork corpse, held together with chains and leather straps, sewn with needle and wire, and equipped with bird-shaped skull helmets, or similar to those worn by plague doctors. That gear is crucial as it covers the rotting features and allows them to move freely, often claiming to be healers, in pursuit of their master's bidding. Grave peckers abhor sunlight. Their headgear offers some protection, even if partial. Okay, so they have sunlight sensitivity, I would imagine. Sun is murder. While in sunlight, the effect is disadvantage on attack rolls as well as on wisdom checks that rely on sight. Yep. Sunlight sensitivity by another name. Okay. Bedlam, vernacular, Badam, vernacular. Okay. Let's see if Nalakota. Oh shoot, I gotta keep an eye on that. Let's see. Malakota. Yep, Malakota. Let's see if that was in here. No results found. Okay, so it's not from here. What else I got? Let's see what I got. Maybe they're in here. Let's see. Okay. Alright. I don't know if that's a bad sign or not. What are the main themes of a freaking... I kind of want to poke at it just to see what it does with an entire freaking D&D source book. Like, when you summarize a document, summarizing documents makes sense for, like, a instruction manual or something, but, like, for a D&D source book, okay. Here we go. Zoom out, sorry. Zoom into the map. It is a new monster's enemy, so it is here. Large fiend, lawful evil. Okay. Hades beasts, devils, and monsters. Now transformed into moral beings, the Malbranque seen around the kingdom are mere shadows of the horrors that roam the circle and edges of the domain of the great beast. While common Malbranque, those who are still diabolical, are not usually allowed to set foot outside the eternal gates. Malacodas, their direct superiors, can sometimes leave Inferno, traverse the ruins of Platonia, and move toward the countryside and cities to complete terrifying missions. Many of these contemplate revenge against Malebranche, who betrayed Lucifer, or missions of slaughter and destruction, can be summoned by heretical sorcerers or powerful Bethane, or sent to the earthly world by archdevils or Great Beast himself. Their appearance is the most terrifying a kingdom I can imagine: horns, claws, fangs, hooves, all above a lashing, relentless tail. Okay, so they're just big, scary, like this. Okay, this guy. This is one of them. Okay. I don't like violence in Tutso. I'm a business person. Blood is a big expense. Malakota can't freely roam outside Inferno for a long time. For every 1 day it spends outside Inferno, it loses 20 HP. If Malakota drops to 0 hit points, it doesn't die, but immediately sent back to Inferno, where it will be bound for 1 year and 1 day. Accomplish its mission can return to Inferno without constriction or punishments. Alright, so mission, because it can be summoned by demonic higher-ups, and the Belphegor is kind of like a... Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah, so, okay, Belphegor. She's got the big boy demon. Alright, okay, I gotcha. Although we don't actually see what has it. Granted, there are a few Malakotas. Ooh, she's got a couple. And can also transport her through fauna chimneys. Okay. That's cool. Okay, so I think this is where we'll end the stream just because I gotta leave for work. But thank you all for coming to stream. For those of you who did. For those of you who haven't and see this video later, thank you for watching. And if you don't see the video, you'll never hear me say thank you anyway. So there. But I appreciate you all hanging out and watching me babble. And I hope you enjoy Broncolonia. If you go to the Discord, I do have links to Broncolonia, to the publishing company that does it. And they have a lot of stuff out, including Jinx's Almanacs, which I need to get my hands on, apparently. They're a fun lot. And I can't remember. Acheron Games. They also have Hell of a Town, which is a... well, that's an interesting one. It's kind of like New York City, but zany cartoon. It's like old school cartoons before they kind of became for children. Like way old, because animation was never... It didn't start as being for children. The old stuff. Before it kind of got codified. But they still have the cartoon logic physics. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, and apparently, anyway, so they do nonsense stuff like that. It's exciting and enjoyable, and I ran it for... Briefly, they use playing cards instead of dice. I ran it during a convention. Briefly, I was gonna run a whole setup, and then I just didn't update the thing because I hadn't gotten a chance to fully figure out what I was gonna do. So I kind of put a filler description in, and then anyway. So if you were at Concertino, no, that's the convention. Concoction, that's it. You could have played with me. But no one signed up, so I ended up having a few people who came by and were like, sure. I think including the DM who was at the table next got there early. I was like, you want to run a little bit of a combat scenario? And I did. I ran mini combat scenarios for people. I jumped to the right at the end, and you're fighting this big giant monster. Anyway, that's a thing. Thank you all for coming. I do greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming. All that jazz. Okay. Take care of yourselves. Hydrate. Make sure you get rest. And all that jazz. I'm going to be streaming earlier in the coming months until we figure out possibly just indefinitely. So look at my streams earlier. This is usually when I'd be starting the stream. But yes. Well, all right. Let's see if we can't raid somebody. So we are going raiding. Are we going raiding? Where are we going raiding? To where are we going raiding? Okay. We're actually going to people we follow. Save the GOT lobby, but no one's really there, and it's not useful to do. Rush for Hire is there. Starwind. Tiger Rights. Okay, let's raid Faye. I haven't raided them in a while. Faye's friend. Let's go raid friend. We're gonna go come and say hi. Thank you. Yes, we're gonna go raid Faye. Just some love. Faye is cool. Wunderbar.